Since we're talking about warfare
Yes.
and battle, I think we have to show this marble I bought in France, and it's a remarkable piece. It needed some study. It was wrongly mounted. It was mounted straight like that, and he seemed very odd and bizarre. And then after some discussion among ours, Ulrike is missing here because she doesn't like warfare, but we came to the conclusion that this is the best position for this sculpture. Now what happens? It shows someone in the middle of the battle. We don't know if it's a warrior or a hero, and as you position him, he changes completely expression. In one way, because of this, the movement is that he turns his head very strongly and is looking forward and defending himself.
Well, this was the weirdest thing when it was mounted upright, because you can see the clavicle is very much off center, and all of the musculature is so tense if you were really just standing.
So he's doing somehow like that. He's protecting himself, and either he's protecting himself from a blow, or he's himself fighting forward. So the fragment is of a way that we cannot decide, and we cannot attribute it to a specific hero. There is nothing added to it which indicates it's a warrior, but it's a violent scene. It could be an Amazonomachy, a gigantomachy, but also war. And something very interesting about this sculpture is that it's rather flattish in its way it's done, and the buttocks are slightly flattened, and the whole concept to us seems that it could be from an architectural sculpture, meaning from a pediment, which makes it really pretty sensational.
So from a smallish temple.
Yes, sort of treasure house.
Yeah, exactly, but not too small.
No, it's half-life size.
Yeah.
And then, look at the marble itself. The marble is in very coarse grain, beautiful quality. Could be either cycladic. It's very difficult to say. Nowadays you need isotopic analysis, either cycladic, coarse grain marble, or maybe also from Thassos, which has the
so
same
sugary.
Yeah, it has these crystalline structure where they shine, like mica. Another thing is that the surface helps us to date it a little bit. There's nothing soapy about it. It's very dry, and we have a tendency to date it to the 4th century, and it's not Hellenistic at all. I mean, look at the way the muscles are very geometric. There is a sort of Starrheit, stiffness in the way this is represented. Also the hair here is straight. There's a horizontal line. It's really a triangle. It's not a 5th century piece, but it reflects very strongly some things from the 5th. A phenomenon we know in the 4th century, which is to repeat as an older style, but when you look at this aspect here, it is actually 4th century and not 5th century.
And also, if you think of temples that were being built, many temples were being built kind of in the hinterlands of Attica in the 4th century, and smaller ones, sort of more modest at rivers. And I think this would fit very well into this sort of
I think I think you're assuming it's a rather rural
yes,
style.
maybe not provincial, but not in the city of Athens, but perhaps on the Ilissos River or something like this.
We don't know.
No, but we do know that these were dismantled by the Romans and actually brought to Rome, which is another kind of aspect, that these were traveling already in antiquity, which is
yes, they were collected, by the way, at that time. There's a lot
war
of
booty. Coming back to warfare.
Warfare, yes, war booty, and they were collected like the Apollos Ossianus temple in Rome, which was transferred by Emilius Paulus. And such things, of course, were also subject to huge debates, controversial debates by Cicero, with various lectures, and they're very interesting. So you mean the whole provenance debate is about 2,000 years old. But this could be also coming from a little temple treasure and be transferred to Italy. We don't know at the time. Most interesting with these muscular structures here.
Yeah, the back is gorgeous.
The back is gorgeous.
It's really the muscles are.
So we choose it to put it here under aggression, warfare, though we are not sure what war is represented here. Well, do you have something to add to this?
No, but he's wonderful, and up close the glimmers of these sugary crystalline structures.
It's a bit abstract the way it's done, so it is definitely not Hellenistic because it's too sketchy, too dry, and the surface is left quite coarse with working traces.
And also you could imagine the power of seeing it from below, that it was carved to emphasize this part more, so the vantage point would have been
that's a phenomenon we know from
Yeah.
pedimental sculpture. It's irritating when you look nowadays in museums at pedimental sculpture, they're at your eye height, more or less, which is not the way the Greeks and the Romans would look at them. They would look at a very different angle from below, right? Well, thank you very much, Lily. Thank you.